Okay, so let's get straight into the best settings for Marvel Rivals. So going into my settings menu, I'm going to focus mostly on the controller and combat section. The first thing you'll notice is you can switch between all heroes and being able to select a particular hero and change settings just for that hero. This is going to be really useful if you want to have different settings between your more close range melee characters and your longer range characters. So I'd encourage you to have slightly different settings here once you get more familiar with different heroes. So we'll start with sensitivity. I personally have tried a lot of different sensitivities, and I've gone with horizontal of 205. This seems to work best for me, vertical of 150. Now I'm actually going to show you how you can calibrate your sensitivity, or a couple of exercises you can do to find a sensitivity that works well for you. But before we go into that, let's have a quick look at the advanced section. First thing is aim sensitivity curve type. This should be linear curve. This is going to be the best for your aiming. There's also dual S-curve and exponential, but I don't really recommend either of these. I've experimented a lot with those and don't really recommend. For minimum input dead zone, I would put 0, and same for maximum input dead zone. Now for max dead zone sensitivity and horizontal max dead zone response time, this is very important. I set max dead zone sensitivity to 85. What this does is actually when you move your stick not just a little bit, but all the way to the edge of the range, it whips the character's vision around a lot faster. So here's just kind of the normal movement speed. And if I go all the way to the edge of my range, quickly can whip me around a lot quicker. And the reason for this is going to be really useful if you're, tracking a different opponent and you get shot from behind and need to quickly whip around and face somewhere else. So I definitely recommend this. So horizontal max dead zone response time, this is how long it takes when you hit that edge of the range on the stick for it to actually kick in with that higher sensitivity. I would leave it at 0 so it's instant. You can use it to quickly whip around and face your opponents. These 3 settings I didn't touch. Those are very, very niche and only some people will use those. But I do want to spend some time on aim assist quickly. What aim assist does is it slows down the crosshair when you're close to an enemy character. So you can see here of my normal sort of movement speed of my vision, and I'm holding it completely still here, and watch what happens when I go over Luna. See that? Do it one more time, the other way. Quite slow, and bam, suddenly slows down, and then speeds up again. So what it does is it detects that your crosshair is near an enemy character, and it slows your movement down to make sure you've got the best chance of keeping your crosshair near that enemy character. Now, the settings that work the best here is aim assist window size of 1. Now this is very small, and most people will find this interesting because the default aim assist window size is something like 30 or 50. And you would think that aim assist window is a good thing, but it's actually not. So if you increase this to, let's say 50, just to demonstrate, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to go slowly, and then watch where it starts slowing down. Do you see that? Right there. So right there, it started actually slowing my aim down. Now that is nowhere near the enemy I'm facing. That's completely off to the side. So it's actually slowing down my ability to use the sensitivity that I've dialed in so carefully and making it harder for me to do that. So actually I found that the best thing to do is make this aim assist window size not 0, because that won't do anything, but make it 1. And you'll see that when it's only slowing my crosshair down when I'm sort of about here. So I'll do it again. Right there. Right there. So it's sort of within an acceptable range that I'd want to actually make smaller adjustments to my aim and to make sure I'm shooting that character. So I recommend you keep that pretty small, and that will make it feel a lot more like the aim assist in other games as well. Aim assist strength, by default this is on 100. I just turned it down slightly to 80. I don't quite like how much it changes the amount of my sensitivity, so I keep it a little bit below 100. So for aim assist ease in, there's one for projectile heroes and one for hit scan heroes. Projectile heroes are those like sort of Rocket Raccoon or Moon Knight, where you've got different projectiles that take some time to reach your enemy. They don't get there instantly. So I've got that as 30, and then for hit scan I've got it as 0. So I've got a hit scan example here, and I really like the way it just quickly stops. Melee I have at 0 as well, and then I have not disabled aim assist at max Deadzone. Now for the HUD, this is important as well. The default reticle type is not very nice. It looks like this, and it goes bigger and smaller. It's not very good. I would recommend you go with a sort of a crosshair, similar to other shooter games, and with a color that's quite visible as well. So change reticle type to crosshairs, go into your advanced options, change all sorts of things like animation. I don't really like that. I find it distracting, so I left that off. The width, opacity, outline width, outline opacity, blur, center gap, crosshair length, crosshair angle, and color. So you can pause the video if you want to use my crosshair settings, and you're welcome to use exactly what I've got. And I've kept it very similar to what I do on my other shooter games. Alright, so let me quickly show you an exercise that I promised before, which is how to dial in the right sensitivity for you. Vertical, I'd like to keep a little bit lower than horizontal. So really you want to figure out your horizontal. And the way to do this is if you go to the practice range, come over to this area of the map, and there's these banners. And these are good because they're at different ranges as well. So stand about mid-range away from one of these purple banners. And what you need to do is imagine I'm just going to move the left stick for now. Imagine you're running around, strafing and shooting. So strafing, shooting. Now you need to try and follow and keep your crosshair in the middle of that banner. So like something like this. So actually try and strafe and keep crosshair centered on that banner. Okay. And this gets better with practice, so practice always helps, but you will have a preferred kind of sensitivity that helps you do this and feel comfortable doing it easily. So I'd encourage you to do it for a range that sits at kind of the range where you mostly play at, depending on the heroes and your play style that you normally choose. For me, it's around about this distance. I do a lot of play at this close to mid-range. For others, you might be further away, so you might want to do that over here as well. I tend to find it actually easier for further away with the particular sensitivity that I've got, but still very comfortable for this sort of close to mid-range. And you can try really close as well. That's all pretty good as well. So if you've got a sensitivity that's too high, make it really high for a second. Make it 300. What will happen is it gets a little tricky when you transition from strafing left to right and vice versa. So I'm strafing right, I can keep control, no problem. But when I switch to try and strafe the other way, and I've just kind of adjusted mentally my own aiming style to try and counteract this, but you would have noticed that I'm going too far away from the banner too quickly. So see that? I'm actually going too far ahead of the banner to try and compensate. So that sensitivity is too high for me. If I go too low, go 150, and I try to do the same thing, I'm actually struggling the other way. So I'm actually lagging behind the banner. It's a little bit too low for me. So I kept experimenting with this, and the perfect sensitivity for me was around 205. So I find this the easiest to try and maintain my crosshair over the banners. And it's still not easy, to be honest. I do find this game a little bit more challenging to aim than some other shooter games, and that's okay. It's a pretty new game, so they might have further controller sensitivity settings later down the track that improve the feeling of it. But that was just some quick tips on how to get some nice controller settings for you. Hopefully that was helpful. Please leave comments about any other tips that you've come across while playing this game. It's a very new game, so I'm assuming we'll all find out a lot more and have more tips to come sort of in the coming weeks and months as well. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please subscribe for more content coming soon on Marvel Rivals. And good day.